So we're facing Mount White, very close to Toowoomba, Lockyer Valley. So many of the trees are dead. There's a smoke haze surrounding us. For years we've been making films about the plants, talking about conservation issues, warning against climate change, warning that people didn't realize what was coming. And here we are, we're at the beginning of something potentially much, much worse. So we saw Scott Morrison, I don't think I'd even refer to him as my Prime Minister, talking recently about the fires, and no one fire can be directly linked to climate change. Well, that's not exactly the message. That may well be true, but you've got more to say about that than just that simple statement, don't you, Peter?
Well, there's more to say in the sense that fires are certainly a part of the landscape, but the fires we're seeing this summer are unbelievable, and that's because the climate is changing, the world is moving, and the smallest fire is now an unpredictable inferno. This smoke we've got around us today has come from 1,000 kilometres away, but 2 months ago the smoke that we were surrounded in was coming from kilometres away. Over the last couple of months here, since November, there have been fires the length of the East Coast on a scale that has never been seen before. Something is changing. The planet is changing, and it's a warning. It's the beginning of the end, and if we don't heed the warning, it will be the end.
It's just going to get worse as the arid zone continues to spread east, because that is what's happening. There are fires around the globe. I was just looking earlier at a map today of Africa. Humongous fires in Africa at present. The Amazon, and what we should be hearing from all of the apparent leaders of our time, we should be talking about the Siberian traps. We should be talking about the amount of greenhouse gases that are, if that permafrost melts, we're looking at something like 5 degrees of global warming. You know, that is global emergency. And we're hearing from Morrison talking about we're going to make sure we focus on keeping electricity prices low. Well, whilst you're focusing on keeping electricity prices low, if all the ice melts, that's 70 meters of sea level rise there. What do you do with 70 meters of sea level rise with the arid zone spreading at the same time?
And not only that, but it's the geological changes, that the impacts humans have made that take impact upon the planet. The world is going to the carbon dioxide sourced from burning is a sooty thumbprint of the changes we've wrought on the landscape. We've pumped out the water, we've cleared the forests, we've built massive heat islands, we've fished out the oceans. The impacts that we have are going to go far beyond simple warming, but rather they're going to go deeper. They're going to change the balance of the planet. And this is just the beginning of something terrifying that we just don't know where it's going to go.
It's going to lead us back to the cave. So how do we avoid going back to the cave? What do we need to do? What are the actions now? Revegetation, this idea of wildlife corridors, of breaking everything apart. As long as we've got a wildlife corridor, it's the breaking apart of this equation for complex life. It doesn't matter to the Earth. The Earth will just go back to an equation for simple life. If the inhabitants of the equation for complex life are going to break it apart, destroy the very thing that turned the sky blue, the Earth will go back to an equation for simple life. No problem. But how do we avoid that? What steps do we take now to move on this? What do we do?
We have to think about the impact of what we do every day, what we eat, where we go. And it's not a matter of changing our life, but making if everyone made some little changes, if everyone was aware of this, if we weren't in in denial of any sort of change happening, that would be an enormous first step. There are lots of people who are aware of this, but we have to make our own, in our own selves, make some changes to what we do. Look at the dryness around here. It's as a result of vegetation loss. Rainfall levels of this year are, of the past year, are at record lows, and some are being compared to being the lowest, as low as droughts a century or more ago. Even a drought a century or more ago, the landscape had a better chance of recovering because there was more organic matter in the soil. We've depleted that as well. We've mined the soil, we've mined the air, and we've mined everything under the ground. We have to start rebuilding our whole biosystem again.
I've seen imprints of rainforest leaves in Central Australia. As Peter was saying, if we're not careful, we're going to have the arid zone all the way to the east coast, along the Great Dividing Range, arid zone, with 70 metres of sea level rise on the other side. So these steps that we have to take, each of us, towards true sustainability, being led by leaders that get this. Being led by deniers isn't just reckless. It's lethal to our survival.
So please, not just look out the window, step outside, look around, and think about how you can contribute to a better world. Thank you.